February 21. This is the news on PBCJ. I am Simone Absalom. Public sector workers whose unions have signed the agreement for a 16% pay increase over the period 2017 to 2021 will be paid a windfall of almost 1 year's retroactivity or back pay by March 31. That's according to Finance and Public Service Minister Audley Shaw. He confirmed yesterday that 7 members of the umbrella Jamaica Confederation of Trade Unions, JCTU, have already signed and are assured these payments, which are to be addressed in a second supplementary estimate due by next month. These unions, which include the major ones in the Confederation, Bustamante Industrial Trade Union, National Workers Union, Jamaica Civil Service Association, the Jamaica Association of Local Government Officers, whose President Helene Davis White heads the JCTU, represent close to 2/3 of its membership. They have agreed to pay increases of 5%, 2%, 4%, and 5% over the 4 years of the agreement, which commences on April 1, 2017 and ends March 31, 2021. A 17-year-old male student of Wilmer's Boys School who sent a voice note threatening to bomb the institution has been released into the custody of his parents. This after the Constabulary's Counter-Terrorism and Organized Crime Investigation Branch, CTOC, says it interviewed the child and his parents for a second day yesterday. Head of CTOC, Assistant Commissioner of Police Fitz Bailey, says the investigation into the matter is ongoing. CTOC is also interviewing other students of the institution. In the meantime, Children's Advocate Diane Gordon Harrison says her office has been conducting intervention activities with the child since last week. She says she's treating the matter as a case before her office. In the lengthy voice note, the teen expressed that he was being ostracized and threatened several of his peers. CTOC's ACP Bailey has reassured the school community and the nation that there is nothing to be alarmed about. The Real Estate Board, a commission of strata corporations, begins a series of public consultations today to broaden consumer knowledge of the legislation on gated communities. The consultation will take place at the Gulf View Hotel, Caledonia Road, Mandeville, Manchester, and is set to begin at 5 p.m. The rationale behind hosting the series of consultations is that gated communities have many similar concerns, including persons not paying maintenance fees, disputes between parties, and general communal living issues. Currently, the legislation on gated communities only addresses the issue of strata corporation and not that of the shared expenses. Other consultations will be held on March 1 at the Holy Trinity Church West Gate, Montego Bay at 1 p.m. and Tuesday, March 6 at St. Andrew High School for Girls, starting at 5 p.m. National Works Agency, NWA, says that the promised bridge for residents of Chesterfield St. Mary will be in place by June ahead of the next hurricane season. It says the bridge is one of 7 now being fabricated in China for delivery by the end of March. The NWA says it's spending US $2 million to buy the 7 bridges. Residents of Chesterfield have been walking through a river to get to their homes. In regional news, Cuba will have a new president come April 19 as that country goes to the polls to elect a successor to current leader Raul Castro, who has indicated that he will not seek re-election. On April 11, Cubans will vote to elect deputies and provisional delegates for a new parliamentary term. We have more on the election process in this special report.
The second stage of the general elections actually running in Cuba is scheduled for the 11th of March. More than 8 million Cubans are called to participate in this process for the elections of deputies to the National Assembly of People's Power and delegates to provincial assemblies. This second general election phase will take place with the corresponding exercise of a free, direct, secret double vote of the people in nearly 25,000 polling stations. Of these, 141 are special due to the fact that they will be located in hospitals, passenger terminals and other spaces so as to provide a more comfortable and fast accessibility to voters. There will also be 2 ballot boxes at polling stations so the electorate may vote for all, for several, or for only one of their preferred candidates included on the ballots. Voters must present their identity cards or armed forces identity documents in order to vote and meet all the requirements outlined in the electoral law. The age required to exercise this constitutional right is for citizens over 16 years and for permanent residents who have been living in the country not less than 2 years before Election Day. A dynamic test will be held on the coming 4th of March. This exercise aims to activate and test the system in place so as to ensure trouble-free elections and in which the media and the electoral mechanisms and structures are put into practice to avoid any setback. So the coming 11th of March, Cuba will elect deputies to the National Assembly of People's Power and delegates to provincial assemblies, and the next month, precisely the 19th of April, congressmen will elect a new president for Cuba.
Still on elections, but in the St. Vincent and Grenadines, 45 persons have been nominated to contest the upcoming March 13 general election, and Prime Minister Keith Mitchell is urging political parties to keep the campaign peaceful. On Tuesday, the ruling New National Party, the NNP, and the main opposition National Democratic Congress, the NDC, both nominated 15 persons to contest. Here are the details.
There are also 4 independents and other candidates from 5 minority parties. After submitting his nomination papers at the St. George's Northeast Parliamentary Elections Office, Prime Minister Mitchell said it was a special occasion for him since it was likely his last time contesting an election. And he said he was extremely confident of the NNP's returning to power. But Mitchell also expressed concern about some incidents on the campaign trail.
My only concern is that we keep this process peaceful and that political parties should not encourage their supporters to attend the political meetings of opposing forces. There's nothing wrong with an opponent being at a meeting, but if you're going there and going right up into the speaker's face and trying to disrupt the political meeting, that's a violation of the law, the election law, and therefore the police, whether it's me or whoever, should arrest us if we do that. So I've spoken to my supporters at a rally on Sunday and told them they should not go. But if they do go, then they should not do anything that disrupt the political meeting of my opponent or opponent of the New National Party. And if they do that, then the police have a right to arrest them, and I will not be sympathetic to any of my supporters who do this.
Meantime, opposition leader Nazim Burke says his party won't be playing any blame game this election campaign, and he's also confident that the NDC will form the new government after the polls.
Our purpose really is to ensure that the general public, when they go to the polls on election day, they can answer 2 fundamental questions. First, which of the 2 political parties have the best plan for the future of Grenada? And secondly, which of the 2 political parties have the best team to carry out that plan, whatever that plan happens to be? We feel confident that if people were to seriously consider all that is happening and all that has happened, and when they answer those 2 questions, we feel confident they will come up with the answer the National Democratic Party.
Venezuela has launched a cryptocurrency in an attempt to bypass tough economic sanctions imposed by the U.S. government. The petro is intended to bolster the country's crumbling economy, which has been suffering from hyperinflation and devaluation for years. Venezuela claims it is the world's first sovereign cryptocurrency. Critics say the move is a desperate attempt by Caracas to raise cash at a time when Venezuela lacks the ability to repay its $150 billion of foreign debt. Opposition leaders said the sale constitutes an illegal issue of debt, while the U.S. Treasury Department warned it may violate sanctions imposed last year. The government says The currency aims to circumvent U.S. sanctions on the economy. President Nicolas Maduro said each tokens will be backed by a barrel of Venezuelan crude. The Latin American country has the world's largest proven oil reserves. In sports, Michael Clark, the head coach of six-time defending ISA Boys Championships winners, Calabar High School, has denied reports that the team will not take part in this Saturday's staging of the 42nd Gibson McCook Relays. Reports have been circulating sometime in the last week that Calabar High would not participate. But yesterday, Clark denied that there were any plans to stay away from the one-day relay carnival. It was heard that the team could be held out of the meet as punishment to some of the team members due to an incident that took place at their training camp in December. While another rumor is that they're staying away after arch rivals Kingston College failed to attend the McKinley Wind Classic staged by Calabar last month. One of the races that a lot of the track and field fans would be anticipating on Saturday is the high school 4x400 meters race, after the Calabar team ran a high school world record 3 minutes, 5.04 seconds at the Corporate Area Championships held at the National Stadium in Kingston last Friday. And that's the news. Do stay with us. The weather report is next. PBCJ's weather report. Thanks so much for staying with us. Let's start with our local currents. In Kingston right now, the temperature is just about 26 degrees Celsius and we're seeing a forecast of sunny skies for today, but we could have some cloudy conditions later in the afternoon. In our 7-day forecast for Kingston, we're looking at a possibility of scattered showers going into the weekend. We're also seeing temperatures between 21 and 29 degrees Celsius, so it's going to be pretty warm out over the weekend. Let's take a look at what's happening over there in the western end of the island. We're seeing that in Montego Bay, St. James, some cloudy conditions forecast for today, and humidity at 74% wind speed for the mariners, east at 39 kilometers per hour. Let's take a look at what we can expect for the next 7 days. Sunny skies for tomorrow, but a possibility of scattered showers for St. James going into the weekend and leading into next week. We're also seeing temperatures between 21 and 27 degrees Celsius. Over there in Port Antonio, you can expect some rainfall. Looking at our 7-day forecast, we're seeing a possibility of rainfall for this weekend for those of us heading over there to Portland. We're also seeing temperatures between 21 and 27 degrees Celsius. So please ensure that you plan and pack accordingly. Let's take a look at what's happening across the island today. We're expecting temperatures between 26 and 31 degrees Celsius. We're also expecting rainfall across the island for most parishes. In our forecast for tomorrow, we're seeing temperatures between 27 and 30 degrees Celsius. We're also seeing scattered showers in the eastern end and also some areas of the western end of the island. Let's take a look at what's happening across the region. We're looking at a forecast for tomorrow and temperatures between 26 and 29 degrees Celsius. We're also seeing a forecast of scattered showers across the region for tomorrow. Let's look further afield to the United States. We're seeing a minimum temperature 7 degrees Celsius, a high 27 degrees Celsius. We're seeing that Miami has the highest temperature forecast for the areas on your screen. We're also seeing a forecast of snowfall for New York and Atlanta. And that's it for the weather report. Thanks so much for making it PBCJ. Remember, we are the People's Station.